We teach girls to shrink themselves, to make themselves smaller. We say to girls, you can have ambition, but not too much. You should aim to be successful, but not too successful. Otherwise, you would threaten the man. Because I am female, I am expected to aspire to marriage. I am expected to make my life choices, always keeping in mind that marriage is the most important. Now, marriage can be a source of joy and love and mutual support, but why do we teach girls to aspire to marriage and we don't teach boys the same? We raise girls to see each other as competitors, not for jobs or accomplishments, which I think can be a good thing, but for the attention of men. Buonasera signori e signori, mi chiamo Francis Tibollo, sono un avvocato, sono terza generazione italo-canadese, sono la figlia di Silvana e Michael Tibollo, sono la nipote di 4 immigrati di prima generazione dall'Italia. It is my honor to be here this evening. Thank you so much to Enzo di Mauro and to the Allura Cultural Association for having me this evening. Today I'll be talking to you about what we can do to build the next generation of strong girls. So that quote, what I was reading at the beginning was actually a quote from a famous Nigerian novelist, Chimamanda Achebe, and it's from her TED Talk called We Should All Be Feminists. Now, I read that to you to set your mind frame to start thinking about some of the major issues that she raises in what she's trying to say. While none of us may completely relate or agree with the messages that she gives, I believe that we can't ignore some of the issues that she raises. I realized at a very young age that the many blessings that set up my life were directly related to where and to whom I was born. Had I been born 2 or 3 generations ago in my family's ancestral villages in Italy, my reality may not have been the same. This being said, I know how extremely fortunate I am to have been born in a household where my parents have always inspired me, but more than that, empowered me to achieve any dream I set my mind to. While this may backfire on them every once in a while when I get ideas like wanting to go help some Canadian girls who got landed in prison in a very faraway country on the other side of the world, or work in a special court to prosecute mass atrocity and genocide crimes in Cambodia, or engage in community development programs in Nigeria at 16 years old, they never said no. My nonna, many years ago, when I was telling her stories about one of my recent adventures, said to me, "Francis, tu hai le gambe lunghe." And you have long legs. And I said, "Nonna, what are you talking about? I mean, I'm pretty average height, maybe even short. And, what do you mean? I don't understand." She says, "That means that you are fearless to travel so far away. You like to go everywhere." And, I said, "Nonna, tu hai le gambe lunghe, because if it wasn't for you and Nonno that came to Canada to give me all of these opportunities, none of this would have ever been possible." And she just looked at me like, oh, gosh, she got me. My family may have given me, a really hard time when I tell them about the things that I want to do or the projects that I want to get involved with, or when I wanted to go study overseas. I was away at university for 10 years. They challenged me and they made me prove to them that I was certain that I wanted to do whatever I was doing. But they always told me I could achieve anything I set my mind to. The sad reality is that that's not the experience of so many women around the world. That's not the experience of so many women right here in Canada. The sad reality is that even in my particular circumstances, while I have so many family members and friends who support me and encourage me to pursue my dreams, there are some stereotypes in society so deeply entrenched that I even fall for them sometimes that make me, a successful young lawyer, question my life's decisions thus far. Even more than that, add the flurry of concerns that my friends and we always discuss this. When you're making professional career decisions, the reality is that the prime childbearing years of your life are also the prime years for building your career and the skills you need to be able to compete in whatever industry. It doesn't matter, not being a lawyer, it's any industry. This is exactly what Chimananda Achidi was speaking about when I started speaking to you this evening. While we say we encourage women to aspire and dream to be anything they want to be, there are still some norms and real obstacles in society that stop young women from pursuing their dreams. For this year's International Women's Day, the Status of Women Canada summarized some statistics about women that I'd like to share. So first, there are too few women advancing in leadership roles. The Financial Post ranked Canada's largest companies by revenue, and it shows that women make up just 21.6% of those board members for those companies. Women are underrepresented in politics. 26% of those elected to the 42nd Parliament are women. In 2015, made up 28% of municipal councillors and only 18% of mayors in Canada. Around the world, only 32% of all national parliamentarians are female. That's more than double the number in 1995, but that's still a marker of very slow change. Third, women in the workforce tend to earn less than men for doing the exact same job. The average earnings for women in all job tenures, as a percentage of men's earnings, were 68.4% in 2014, suggesting a wage gap of over 30%. When measuring full-time jobs only, women earn 73.3% of men working full-time in Canada, so 27% less. Women continue to be responsible for the majority of caregiving. Women spend more time than men caring for children. In 2010, women spent an average of 50.1 hours per week of unpaid childcare, more than double than that spent of men. Looking internationally, there's even more alarming numbers. 62 million girls are denied an education all over around the world. Every year, an estimated 15 million girls under the age of 18 are married worldwide with little or no say in the matter. 4 out of 5 victims of human trafficking are girls. On average, 30% of women who've been in a relationship report that they've experienced some form of physical or sexual violence by their partner. Women around the world aged 15 to 44 are more at risk from rape and domestic violence than from cancer, car accidents, war, and malaria combined. While there's been an increasing trend where the numbers and gaps between men and women have been shrinking, there is still a lot to be done. And that's why events like this for International Women's Day are so important. So how do we change this? It starts with changing the attitudes and behaviors, empowering young women and young men around us to be leaders and champions for those young people. We can make changes by recognizing that the gender stereotypes and subtle sexism that we encounter every day are part of the problem. And it starts by challenging the sexism and discrimination that allow gender inequality to continue to exist. It starts by not only educating and empowering young girls, but educating and empowering boys as well. Without educating boys, we continue this cycle. Because when we educate boys, these boys grow up to be the strong men who respect women. Lastly, I'm not saying that overnight, all of these big major problems around the world that we face in Canada, and around the world, but what I'm challenging each one of us to do, men and women alike, is to start doing small things locally, to be the small ripples, because when all of us put that together, we start to make large waves. So I'm going to end with a quote by one of my favorite poets. Her name is Rupi Kaur, and she's the daughter of immigrants. She's actually from Brampton, Ontario, I believe. And she says, what's the greatest lesson a woman should learn? That since day one, she's already had everything she needs within herself. It's the world that convinced her that she did not. Thank you.